Thank you for joining me today. This is Whitney with the Yoga Art Space Studio, and today's meditation is a meditation on emptiness. The further and deeper we go into meditative work, the more we begin to realize that thoughts and words just don't do justice for the deep consciousness that exists out there. In fact, the more we try to put words to our experience, the more constraining it feels. The more we try to define truth, the more we realize that everything we thought we've known for our whole life may not be as we've always believed. That can be a scary and yet a beautiful place to live at. What if everything isn't as I've always thought? In this meditation, we work on the Lalana, or the Talu chakra, by allowing ourselves to experience a glimpse of the void. We return back to this blank slate of a newborn, and we dive into the space between the atoms. And in doing this, we begin to open ourselves up to the blissful opportunities that are available in the upper chakras, the 6th and the 7th. Despite the evidence that life sometimes provides us in the lower chakras, that reality is painful. When we use that belief and bring it up into the upper chakras, we get stuck because we keep it on manifesting more and more of that painful reality. But when we enter the void, even briefly, we realize maybe everything isn't exactly as I've always believed. And in emptying ourselves like this, we allow amazing, blissful opportunities from our intuition and from the universe to come to us from that 6th and 7th chakra, allowing deeper potentials of infinity to be attracted toward us. And then as we bring those desired potentials back down to the throat chakra, we allow for the opportunity of powerful manifestation. So working with the void for a moment now, begin to imagine that you're at the end of your life. And as you're at the end of your life, you start to see everything play through your life, but it plays backwards. It's almost as if through your entire life, you've continuously stacked particle upon particle, like a rubber band upon rubber band, a layer upon layer. And so at this end of your life, you've formed this huge sphere by having built many, many layers and beliefs of how everything is and how everything should be and how everything's going to be. But as we travel backwards through your life, we begin to peel off the last layer. What if I shed that belief? What would happen to be? And what about the next one? And what about the next one? Some beliefs went very thick through your life, so removing them, you have to almost take out a chisel. They're beliefs that you carried with you the entire time. Beliefs of how you are and who you are and how you should act. But as you continue to work down through this sphere, layer upon layer, through the slimy layers, through the marble layers, through the concrete layers, the metal layers, you work through them one by one, through all these densities, through all these beliefs, until you arrive at the center. You've backed your way through your life all the way down to a newborn child taking in its first breath. And you realize at the center of this sphere is void. You realize you've taken everybody else's beliefs upon you your whole life. Because people throughout our life tried to add to the void. They tried to say, this is a better way. This is the way you should live. This is the way I've lived, and how my ancestors have lived for hundreds and thousands of generations. But here at the void of the newborn child, you realize the void perhaps gives more possibilities than any of the layers. You realize the beauty of the void, the absolute infinite potential. This child could become literally anything. So take a deep breath in and out, and breathe into that void. Feel the void. Love the void. And in the void, you still feel atoms, and so you choose to zoom in on the atoms. As you zoom into an atom, you realize that there's only ever been space. If the nucleus of an atom were the size of a car, you'd have to travel hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of miles away to get to the nearest teeny tiny electron. An atom is mostly space. So contemplate the space. Even within that void that you saw, there's still atoms. And within the atoms, we've got space. So begin to zoom back through the layers that you added upon yourself through your life, and begin to see the space in between all the atoms of the slime, the space in between the atoms of the foam, the space in between the atoms even of metal, of concrete, of steel. Zooming out, you realize even in these layers, there's still so much space. You thought that the idea was concrete your whole life, that there was one way to live it, but you've never realized this 99.99% space that existed the whole time, even in the layers. And so you continue to zoom out and out and out, observing this ball. And as you view the ball, it reminds you of outer space. And you contemplate on the vacuum of outer space, the vacuum that scientists says is where essentially nothing exists, no air, nothing. But you realize there's still stuff. Space, a void, perhaps doesn't even really exist. There's just a lot of distance between one thing, one particle, and the next. And so here you begin to feel freedom of jumping from one point of the void to the next. You feel the possibilities that exist in the emptiness. You feel the freedom. You feel alive. You feel whole like you've never been before. And so here in this emptiness, in this spaciousness, in this void, we'll allow ourselves to remain for as much time as we have available today. I thank you for joining me. This is Whitney with the Yoga Art Space Studio. May we continue to be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.